Roberto De Zerbi. I love to say that name. Roberto De Zerbi has been made to be, forced through force, to be the Brighton manager. I don't think any of those things I just said were true. But we talked a tiny bit about him last week, John. But tell me much more now.
Yeah, so Roberto De Zerbi is, I suppose, a bit of a darling of like the tactics nerd world. He's had a really
Nathan's basically glazed over, hasn't he?
Yeah,
all dewy-eyed.
He has basically taken a really unique route, I suppose, through management so far. So started out, he had a really interesting playing career. So he played at a lot of sort of Serie B, Serie C teams. He did play for Napoli for a bit. He started out at AC Milan, so he was a good player.
He's been there at the elite level.
Yes, you could say that.
Just about.
Yeah. But his route through management has been with smaller clubs as well in Italy, largely. So places like Foggia, Palermo, Benevento is where he made his big name because he was playing this really exciting brand of football. Actually kind of similar to Antonio Conte in that he likes to build up from the back by sort of overloading at the back and pulling teams forward. So just have lots of your own players sitting deep, doing like small, sharp passing movements and pulling the opposition in and then generating space to exploit further down the field. So yeah, burst on the scene at Benevento. Benevento were struggling. Benevento. Yeah, they were struggling in that season. They did get relegated, but he impressed enough to get a job straight away at Sassuolo, and that's where I think most people will remember him. But he went from Sassuolo to Shakhtar Donetsk, which is I mean, I guess it's Champions League football, but it's not the next obvious step that you would think for a manager like him. And I suppose Brighton is obviously the things at Shakhtar went badly wrong with the geopolitical situation there. But Brighton, I guess, an interesting place to go. He'll be at a club where they are going to provide him with the players that he needs to play the sort of football that he wants.
And presumably be in the Champions League next season anyway, right?
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay, do you like him, Nathan?
I like him a lot. I think he's sort of the obvious, hipster's choice, Brighton method kind of thing that you would expect to see from them. So at Sassuolo he played like wide fullbacks and narrow wingers, and then at Shakhtar he played wide wingers and narrow fullbacks. I wonder if he will come in, look at that Brighton squad, and just be like, "Yep, this is built for a back three, so I'm going to carry on with the back three." That'd be interesting to see whether he does that. And we've also, with that, he has the experience being sort of like a mid-lower table type squads and outperforming that, and also being at Shakhtar being the dominant team and enforcing that dominance through like enormous amounts of possession as well. So, yeah,
he has quite a big task on his hands. Not necessarily. I mean, obviously he's got a good squad and an exciting team, and I don't think there's any real negatives on the footballing side of things. But of course, Graham Potter will have left a big old fat hole to fill. And that's the job, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess the big question is like how quickly is he going to have an impact there? And I suppose with the players that Graham Potter has developed, who are just really tactically flexible and able to move in between different systems quite comfortably, I suspect it won't be the worst period for them to get used to having a new manager. But the difficult thing, I think, is just the position they have in the table right now. Like, Graham Potter is a great manager and has been a great manager for 3 seasons. But the last season when they finished 9th or whatever it was the first time that really translated into a decent league position. Finished before that, they were always sort of still flirting on the edges of relegation. So I still think this is a squad where a mid-table finish is overperforming.
Yeah.
So the big question is going to be: are the media going to just say, well, when Potter left, Brighton were pushing for European spots?
Yes.
If De Zerbi
That's certainly
doesn't
what
do
I
that,
would be saying if I had to title a YouTube video.
Yes, exactly. But if De Zerbi doesn't continue at that rate, are people going to say, well, he's no Graham Potter, is he?
Which he won't. I mean, perhaps that's the biggest struggle, right? Like, pretty much anything is going to feel like a downturn, I suppose, isn't it? Even if they perform well and have a 12th place finish and win a couple of big games, like it's still going to feel like you watch Potter finishing in the top 4, it's still going to feel underwhelming. Yeah,
I think we're so early on in the season that a couple of the big teams haven't performed well, and they will probably catch up, and it's just natural that Brighton will drop out that sort of real top half of the table. But
if you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Daniel Taylor, Ollie Kay, Amy Lawrence and Rafa Honigstein. There are journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.